can't see who's joining because I have this thing propped up pretty precariously at my dad's. But welcome. I can see you guys filtering up at the top. I'm hoping that this Wi-Fi connection is going to be stable enough for this. We'll see. Hopefully it's stable enough for me to post it after as well. This is just a little, it's going to be more low to the ground, another stretchy sort of session. I did title it Take Me to Church, being Sunday and all. There's a playlist available on my Apple Music, so that's under Ange Morley, called Take Me to Church, that you can use. And then there's also one on my Spotify, and my username for that is amorley9, and it's also called Take Me to Church. So I'm going to be going without music today because I'm pretty bare bones here. I only have my phone. So I'm going to just give it maybe one more minute. It looks like we've pretty much evened out, and then I'll get started. I hope you guys have all had like a good week. I'm staying for one more day, I've decided, but I do have to be in the city on Tuesday. So if anybody wants the social distancing, let me know. I'll be there for maybe a couple weeks, but then I think I'm going to retreat again. Yeah. It's just too nice in the country. There's so much space. Okay, so I'm getting my socks off. And you can go ahead and press play on that playlist. And then I'm going to start you in a shots pose. So this is the back of your mat. Big toes will touch. Let your seat bones sink down towards your heels. I'm just going to avoid putting my head all the way on the floor because that way I can still talk to you. And you will notice I'm so bare bones that I don't even have a mat today, so bear with me. So just start there with a couple deep breaths. Drawing long inhalations through the nose. You can let out a couple heavy sighs. Feeling the rib cage expand in 360 degrees, forward to the sides, up through the back. And then exhaling, allow tension to release from the hip creases, the feet. Taking another deep breath in across the collarbones, and as you exhale, relaxing any tension you might be feeling through the shoulders or the neck. And then when you're ready, start to take your inhalations and your exhalations just through your nose. A really slight constriction in the base of your throat, which allows the breath to brush more along the base of the throat, creating that more audible, more wave-like sound. Just allowing yourself to just simmer with your breath, taking in the experience you're finding yourself within right now. For another 5. 4. That's 3. 2. All right, and then from there, you'll just start to rock your head a little bit from shoulder to shoulder. And you'll start to walk both your hands over toward the right. You can stack the left hand on top of the right. Really reach with the left fingertips and sort of push with the right hand, so you start to find a little more space through that left side. Really press the left sit bone down toward the left heel. Take a nice deep breath into the left side rib cage. As you exhale, just allow yourself to soften into the space. And then you'll take it back through center. You'll move over to the other side, stretching over toward the left this time. And again, really reach with the right hand and almost push with the left hand, and you'll start to find a little more space through the other edge of the right side. So deep breath into right side rib cage. And as you exhale, try to release any tension that may have been brought into the shoulder and the neck. And then again, you'll slowly start to come forward. And then you're slowly going to start to sit up onto your heels. Take your knees together. And then from there, you'll just do some reverse cat-cows. So you can either take your hands onto your lap or behind the body, wherever they reach best. So you'll inhale, lift the chest, spread the collarbones wide, and lift the back of the heart space. And then as you exhale, allow your spine to really round. Tuck your chin in towards your chest. Push your heels toward your seat bones and root through the shins. And then you'll inhale again, lift up, spread through the collarbones, lift through the back of the heart space so it doesn't feel like you're sinking down into your low back. And then you exhale, round, 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 round. And then you'll do that one more time, breathing in to come up. And then breathing out 2, around. Good, so this time you'll inhale, lift both arms up overhead. Take that right hand down beside the right sideways. Start to stretch over toward the right. Keep the right shoulder away from the right ear. Turn the left upper arm bone in toward the face. Take an exaggerated breath into the left side rib cage. And then slowly start to come back up through center, and then you'll do it over to the left. So left hand comes down, reach the right arm, turn the right upper arm bone in, breathe into the left side rib cage, left shoulder's away from left ear. And then you'll inhale, come back up, slowly start to come forward into a tabletop. From that tabletop, you can tuck the toes under, start to just pulse the weight back toward the heels a little bit, feel your toes press down into the floor, stretch out through the arches of the feet. And then start to bring some weight forward over top of the wrists as far as you can go without the heels of the hands starting to peel up off the floor. Keep pulling your belly button away from the floor. And then pulse back again. And then pulse forward. Good, and then you're going to stop in tabletop. You'll inhale, lift the right arm up, and just start to roll the right wrist out a little bit, one direction and then the other. Make sure that you're not sinking down into the left shoulder. You're lifting up out of the left side body. One more deep breath in to reach. This time as you exhale, loop the right arm all the way underneath of the left. Allow the head to come down toward the floor. If it doesn't come to the floor, then put a block beneath your head instead. And then you're going to take this left hand and gently push your left hip crease back in space. Just breathing into the back side of the right shoulder. Really press the fingernails of the right hand down on the floor. You'll get a little more sensation if that's what you're looking for. And then you'll slowly start to take that left arm back up and then press down into the left hand. Start to lift that right arm all the way back up. Again, trying not to sink into the left shoulder. Just give it a couple shoulder circles in one direction and then switch it around and take it in the other. Good, and then you'll cycle back through tabletop. Inhale forward into cow. And then as you exhale, turn your right hand upside down, fingertips face toward the left hand, and stretch out the right wrist as you cat. And then you'll inhale, come forward into cow. And then flip the left hand, so palm is up, fingertips face toward right thumb, and you'll round into your cat. Good, and then you'll slowly start to come forward, and then you'll press into the right hand, lift the left arm up, and just roll that left wrist out a little bit, so you can't see my hand I'm seeing in this frame, but this is what's happening. And then move it in the opposite direction. And then from there, you'll take a deep breath in, reach up really nice and tall, and then you'll exhale, take the left arm underneath of the right. Settle in with the head, either taking the head down onto a block or any sort of boost if you need it. And then this right thumb is gently going to guide this right hip back in space. Try to make sure your feet aren't super gnarly. Take a deep breath in where you are, and as you exhale, really press the fingernails of your left hand down onto the floor. And then you'll lift the right arm back up. Take the right hand down onto the floor. You'll press all the way back up. Lift the left arm, and then shoulder roll. So try to isolate this to the shoulder so we're not like bouncing all around. It's simply at the shoulder. It's basically a side plank for your right side. And then from there, you're going to slowly start to tuck the toes, lift into your first dangle forward fold, pressing the weight back into the heels, but then also sending some weight forward into the balls of the toes, the big toes, baby toes, feeling the legs actually start to do some work and activate. And then from there, see where you can use the hip creases to pull the torso down toward the thighs. And then the abdominals will very slightly start to soften is the word I want for the low back. See where you can pull the chest forward in space for a moment. And then as you exhale, allow your head to drop and just let go of any tension. And then you'll slowly start to walk yourself forward into a plank. And slowly lower yourself all the way down onto the floor. Good, so you'll start with a little baby cobra, untuck the toes, inhale, lift the head, neck, chest, roll the heads of the shoulders back, pull your upper arm bones in toward the sides. See where you can take a little weight out of the hands and get the actual work happening through the back instead. It doesn't have to be all the work, but like a little more. Take the left hand out to the side. You're going to reach over to you'll step the left foot over top the right foot. Oh my God. You'll step the right foot over top of the left knee. There we go. I found myself again. Press down into the fingertips. If you want a little more stretch through the left chest, you can start to look up. Breathe for 3. Soften the right shoulder 2. And then, okay, now we move to the right, and then from there you'll actually step the left foot over top of the right knee. You can start to settle in with the right side, and again, press down through your fingertips through the right hand first. Find that work, and then start to look up, and just try to make sure you're not eating your left shoulder. And then you'll slowly come back onto your belly, and you'll start to press back into a child's pose again. So let's keep the knees together for this one. Round the torso over top of the thighs. Pull your forehead right in towards your knees and take a few deep breaths just like you did at the beginning of class, feeling your rib cage expand in 360 degrees as you breathe in, and then pulling in 360 degrees as you breathe out. And then from there, you're slowly going to start to come to stand on the knees. You'll lift both arms up. You're going to take the left wrist into the right hand, start to reach the body over toward the right. And then as you come back through center, grab onto the opposite wrist and stretch the body over toward the left. Good. Inhale, come back through center. Reach both arms up. You're going to step the right foot forward and allow yourself to sink into the right hip a little bit. So making sure that the hips are in the same line. So not sinking so far that the left one starts to roll down below the right one, but just enough. And then take the elbows, interlace them behind the head. Start to lift again the back of the heart space. Feel your right heel press down, your left shin press down. Breathe for another 3. If you want to start to back bend, it's there for 2. Good, and then you'll slowly start to sit back toward the left heel. The hands will come down toward the floor or onto blocks, depending where you're at. See where you can wag your tail over toward the left a little bit. Keep pulling your chest forward in space. Soft bend in the back of the knee if you need it. Large, generous bend in the back of the knee if you need it. Breathe for 3. And that's 2. Good, so step the right foot forward again. Tuck the left toes under. Plant the left hand down beside the right foot. Come up off the left knee. And then twist only through the torso. So keep that left hip raising. And then again, just start to roll out your right wrist one direction and then the other. Good. And then from there, you'll slowly start to walk the hands toward the left. Turn both sets of toes toward the left. Inhale and lift your chest forward. And then as you exhale, fold over your legs. Take your hands behind your back, interlace the hands, and then start by just trying to lift the fists away from the back, and then if the elbows straighten, great. Start to feel the shoulder blades pulling together behind the back, and you can start to really physically pull your arms behind your back a little bit more. This does take quite a lot of lengthening through the chest, so if you're at all tight here, you need to work on more chest openers, things like fish. Actually, fish is the best one. Lying on blocks, and then you'll slowly start to take your hands back down. Walk your hands back up toward the top of your mat. You can start to bend into your right knee if you need to. You can walk the left foot in if you need to. You're going to fold over the right leg, pulling the forehead toward the right shin, and then just sort of wag the tail out a little bit. For 3. Good, that's 2. Awesome. And then from there, you'll slowly just start to step the right foot back to meet the left and walk back into a forward fold. This time, take your 2 peace fingers, your thumbs, wrap your peace fingers inside the big toes. Thumbs wrap around the tops of the big toes. Inhale, pull your chest forward. Use the hip flexors to bring the torso and the thighs together. And then as you exhale, use the abdominals to start to pull the forehead in toward the shins a little bit more. Lengthen the back of the legs. Shoulders stay away from the ears. Press down through the balls of your feet, your big toes. Remember that they're there. Good. And then from there, you'll slowly just start to walk forward again into a plank. Slowly come all the way to your belly, elbows in. And then you'll inhale, just lift the chest. Again, try to be light through the hands, but feel the upper arm bones pull in. Exhale, come back down. Good, so this time, left arm out in more of a cactus. Start to roll over that left side. Keep the left side of the face on the floor this time and just see where you can really press down into that left palm and feel that work move into your shoulder. Breathe there for 3. This is actually a really good chest opener as well if you have a hard time getting those fists overhead, for 2. And then you'll move back onto the back. Take the right arm out to the side, same thing other side. So just let the head come down onto the floor and really press down through the right palm so that you start to feel the right shoulder almost like lift away from the floor. Good, and then come back onto your back and just push yourself back through the child's pose again. Taking 3 deep breaths. 2. Amazing. So you're slowly going to start to come back up onto the knees again. This time you're going to grab onto the right wrist first and side bend over toward the left. And then come back up through center, grab onto the left wrist, side bend over to the right. Lots of side bends today. Inhale, come back up. And then as you exhale, slowly start to, take the left foot forward. Okay, I was like, where am I here? Slowly start to bend into the left knee. Allow yourself to drop into the hips a little bit more, but keep that right hip lifting. The right glute should feel pretty active. Interlace your elbows and then interlace them the opposite way because chances are you went the same. And then you can either simply sort of feel like you're lifting the chest away from the floor, or you can start to back bend, lifting the back of the heart space for 3. See where you can pull those upper arm bones in toward the face while they're overhead. And then you'll slowly start to come up and like really slowly start to hinge back. The hands will come down to the floor or to blocks. Breathe for 3. See where you can slightly wag that tail to the right for 2 and maybe soften that right foot. Amazing. So from there, you slowly start to come forward. Tuck the right toes under. Press down into that right hand again. So you'll see the right hip can tend to lower a little bit below the left. So see where you can really get up on the right leg. Press into your right toes, lift your right thigh bone. Lift the left arm. Circle the wrist. One direction and then the other. Good, and then you're gonna start to walk to the right, turning to the opposite direction. So again, you're gonna be folding over the legs. You're gonna grab onto your opposite hands again, but again, do it in the way that you don't normally do it. And then just start by feeling the fists lift away. It's okay to keep a bend in the elbows. And then after that, they start to straighten and then they'll start to come down. And I mean, I have seen fists come all the way down to the floor. I'm not sure if my bulky shoulders will ever find that space, but they'll hold a handstand for a minute. So it doesn't mean anything. It just, that's the way it is. All right, so slowly start to come down out of that. And then you'll walk back toward the top of your mat. You can bend the left knee and walk the right foot in a little bit if you need to. Inhale, draw your chest forward in space. As you exhale, pull the forehead toward the shin. So this is a lot easier if you actually, it's hard to see here because of my sweatshirt, but my knee is actually bent here. And then just wag the tail a little bit. See what spot feels the most interesting for you and feel free to linger. Good. And then from there, you'll step the left foot back. Walk the hands back. You're back in a forward fold. This time, hands underneath the feet. If you can get the toes to the wrist creases. As you inhale, draw the chest forward. As you exhale, pull the forehead toward the shins. And then very lightly, just pull the chest forward, breathe in. As you exhale, pull back into the shins. Inhale, chest forward. Exhale, pull in. So 2 more. You inhale, chest forward, arms start to straighten a little bit or a lot. Exhale, bend the elbows, use the arms, pull yourself in. And then one more time, breathing in and breathing out. All right, so gently get your hands up from underneath your feet. Start to walk your hands forward into a plank again. You'll lower again all the way down to the floor. And then this time, it's gonna be super wonky, but take your left hand out to the side, the thumb faces forward. Now turn the thumb back towards your feet so the palm is up. And then you're gonna bend your elbow at 90 degrees if that'll happen. If that doesn't happen, you might just wanna keep the palm out to the side and then you're gonna roll over. So it's a little strange. Try to keep the fingernails again on the floor. Breathe here for 3 breaths. You can choose to lift the gaze or stay down. 2. Back onto the tummy. Take the right hand out to the side, the thumb faces forward in the direction of your head, and then turn the right upper arm bone so that the thumb faces towards your feet. And then the hand is either T or a cactus, whatever the shoulder is giving you space for at this moment, and you'll slowly start to come over. And again, you can always intensify by looking up, but first intensify by pressing your fingernails down. That's more localized to where this is happening. And then slowly start to come back onto the back. And push back to a child's pose. Breathing there for 3 breaths. 2. Good. So this time you're going to roll up until you're seated on the heels again, but we're going to tuck the toes under. So you're sitting back onto the heels. Inhale, lift both arms up. And then as you exhale, the right hand will start to move down toward the floor. Reach the left arm up and over. Inhale, come back through center. Exhale, left hand down. Right arm up and over. Remember to turn the right upper arm bone in toward the face. And then as you take the arms overhead, start to stand and step that right foot forward to the outer edge of your mat. So you're coming down through a dragon pose here. You can stay up on top of it if you want to find a little more through this hip flexor, or you can start to come down a little further into it, finding a little more for the right hip crease. So it just depends on what you need. You can come all the way down to the forearms if that is your choice. Wherever you are, can you keep the right leg bone squeezing in to the midline rather than wagging out to the side? Breathe here. Another 3 deep breaths. 2. Amazing. And then from there, you're going to start to sit back toward a child's pose. And then you're going to drag your right leg out in line with your right hip. Sit all the way back onto the left toes again. Try to press into the outer edge of your right foot and lift the inner right thigh. Breathe here for 3 breaths. For 2 breaths. Okay, good. And then you're slowly going to start to come back up again. This time right hand's going to go down, right leg, and you're going to reach the left arm up and over. Good. Now start to reach the left arm forward as you sit back toward the left heel. See where you can kickstand that left leg underneath of you. Sit down onto your bum. The left foot will be inside the right thigh. You're going to grab the right left shin. You're going to grab your left shin with your right hand, and you're going to side bend the left arm up and over for Parvarita Janushirshasana. This is a huge side bend. Being able to grab the toes here it's so long. So just notice if maybe you're a little closer to the toes than you usually are. Maybe you are binding, but make sure the chest and the gaze are spinning up, not down. Otherwise it's just forward fold, which is fine. It's just not what we're doing right now. Good, and then slowly start to come back up through center. From there, you're going to cross one ankle over top of the other, roll forward into a tabletop, and then tuck your toes and lift up and back for downward dog. Breathe here. 3, 2. Okay, keep your left heel really grounded down and start to lift your right leg up and back. You can feel free to open the right hip, but try not to collapse through the left one. Keep the left side long. One more deep breath in. And then as you exhale, right knee will come forward behind right wrist. You're finding pigeon right side. Left toes are back in space. You can choose to remain upright. You can choose to come down toward the floor. You can put a block below the right sit bone if you need to. You're here 5. So trying to take your breath into the sensations that you're focused on, whether that's an uncomfortable sensation you're trying to distinguish between discomfort and pain. A breath there will tell you whether to move out or stay. All right, and then from there, you'll slowly start to make your way back up. Take the right hand down beside the right waist. You're gonna come down onto the right side. The left leg's gonna go forward in space this time. Right foot's inside the left thigh. This is Janushirshasana. You're gonna inhale, lift both arms up over the head. Interlace the elbows behind the head. Now, can you start to press the head back into the forearms, I suppose. Start to pull that left thigh bone back into the hip socket and start to hinge forward from the left hip. Keep pressing the head back into the hands. So this feels like some work for the upper back. Pull your navel in towards your spine. Another 3 breaths here. 2. Now start to reach your arms forward in space and go ahead and round into the pose, allowing the hands to come to the floor. Use the hands as an action that helps you find more rounding through the spine, like cat. So like tuck your chin in towards your chest. Take a breath into the space between the shoulder blades. And then exhale. Awesome. So from there, your right ankle will cross over your left ankle. You can start to pull the heels in toward the seat bones. You can try to lift up off the bum or whatever. It's a little easier on a carpet than a yoga mat, I'm finding. You can move through a chaturanga if you like. Haven't done one yet. Inhale into upward dog. And then you'll exhale back to downward dog. And take the knees down and sit back. Child's pose. Not necessarily even regroup, just like recenter for 3. For 2. All right, so lean forward, tuck the toes under. Sit back onto your heels. Slowly start to lift both arms. To the left first. So the left hand will go down, the right arm's up and over, right upper arm bone comes in, left shoulder away from left ear, and then back up, over to the other side. Good, and then as you interlace the elbows, try to go the opposite way. You're gonna come forward, step the left foot to the outer left edge of your mat. So left pinky toe in line with outer left edge. And then you can start to find the dragon pose of your choice. Dragon is a huge, huge hip flexor stretch if you start to take it into back bends. It can also be a huge dumper into the low back. Starts to look a little more like this. You see how my right hip is sinking here? Right hip lifts, chest lifts, back bend from there. Wherever you are. For another 3. 2. Awesome. So, right toes are still tucked under. And then you start to sit back toward that right foot again, slide the left leg out to the side. So the left leg comes in line with the left hip. Start to sit back onto your right heel again. See where you can press into the outer edge of the foot. The tendency is for the sole of the foot to want to face up and the inner thigh to collapse. So see where you can just work on moving that out. It doesn't matter if your foot's fully on the floor, just that your intention is to start moving it in that way. Take one more deep breath in. And then settle. And then as you breathe in, you lift the arms back up. Left hand comes down. Right arm up and over. Good, and then slowly start to come back through center. You'll start to take that left leg back and come into a downward facing dog. So just breathing there. For 3. It's 2. And then right heel presses down, left leg starts to lift. Turn that left thigh bone down. Ooh, I forgot something. Can we come back into dragon? And then can we move back into this guy? And then from this guy, can we start to move forward a little bit and kickstand the right leg, classic Ange, forgetting stuff, and then start to sit down. And I mean, sometimes it's not pretty. Anything on my left side tends to be not pretty, just functional. And then left hand comes onto right shin. Start to reach the right arm up and over. Again, turn the right upper arm bone in toward the face. And notice how that actually helps you settle into this side bend a little bit more. It might even turn on the right side and feel your right shoulder plug in toward the right side a little bit more. And then eventually over time, and some breathing, and maybe, oh, there it is, the foot starts to become a thing. And then you'll slowly start to come back up. And then from there, we cross the left ankle over the right, and then move forward to the downward dog. Anytime there's more than, actually, you know what, just anytime that happens. I was gonna say anytime there's more than 3 poses, but really this just happens anytime. Right heel presses down, lift the left leg up and back. Feel free to push the right, or do push the right thigh bone back in space. I meant feel free to lift the left hip up, but push the right thigh bone back. None of this. This is too much. Heel. And then left knee behind left wrist, right toes back, lift your chest. And then slowly find your pitch for 5. That's 4. For 3. 2. And then you slowly start to come back up. Sit down onto the left side. Right leg's coming forward in space. Left foot's just inside right thigh. Inhale, lift both arms up. We might get a little appearance from Daisy here. Interlace the elbows behind the head, and then you're going to take a really deep breath in, lift the chest. And then as you exhale, slowly start to come forward. Feel like you're pulling that right thigh bone, hi there, back in space, and allow the chest to move forward so that you're feeling that work in the back. Take one more deep breath in. I was wondering when she was going to get curious. And then from there, you can feel free to round into it. Take the hands down onto the floor, and then really push into the hands to help you find more of a cat action. She licked me as I did it. We were kindred spirits. All right. You're funny, Diz. All right, left ankle over top of right. Roll over top. You can choose to step out of this. You can make your way through a vinyasa if you want. Keep those upper arm bones in, chest forward. And then you're back into downward dog. Good. So from there, you'll look forward between the hands, bend the knees, step hopper, jump through to a seat. Take the soles of your feet together. Start with the feet a little further away, more of a diamond shape than a triangle. Inhale, lift your chest, and then as you exhale, slowly just start to fold forward. You can feel free to pull the chin in toward the chest as well here. Oh, honey, don't play with that. Breathing for 3. I think that's 2. All right, and then you'll slowly start to come back up. Start to pull the heels back towards you now. Notice if that really made you round. If it did, boost yourself up onto something. And then you'll inhale, lift your chest. Keep the collarbones really nice and broad. So don't allow yourself to round. Keep them broad and find the hinge from the hip. As I was, and I still like to do it, but I find the elbows to be pretty useful on the thigh bones, as long as you're feeling the action happen at the thigh bone hip connection. You will feel some tension through the inner thighs, but I want you to feel the leg bones moving out away from one another rather than down. It's not so much down, it's out to either side. And then eventually over time, the spine will remain flat, and rather than the forehead coming to the feet, it will come in front. Take one more deep breath in. And then take one more out. Good, and then you'll slowly start to come up from there. Take your feet out wide, so you're coming into a wide angle forward fold now. Inhale, lift the chest, and then as you exhale, slowly start to, again, fold forward over top of the legs. You can come down to the forearms. I mean, you can come down onto the hands. Forearms are actually pretty far forward. Chest is obviously even further forward than that. My dad just walked by the window and waved at me. For you. All right, so you're here for another 3 deep breaths. Two. Awesome, and then you'll slowly start to draw yourself back up. Take your hands out or underneath of your thigh bones and start to lean back as you pull your knees in toward one another, and then from there just roll down onto the back. Pull your heels in until they're pretty close to your seat bones. And then from there, start to lift the hips up off the floor. You can start to roll one shoulder blade and then the other underneath of you, and maybe interlace the hands below the sacrum. You want to, again, feel the same action as you felt when you were pulling your hands overhead in a wide angle forward fold. It's the same thing. You're still pressing the hands overhead, but instead of the arms moving because the floor is in the way, the chest moves. Press down through the balls of your feet, and then just slowly start to make your way back down to the floor. Pull the knees in toward the chest. Gently rock, rock, rock from side to side. Good, and then before we come up for this, I'm gonna have you wrap one leg around the other. So the right leg, let's go right leg over top of left. And then you're gonna grab onto, it can be your upper knees, it can be anywhere along your shins down towards your ankles. I do want you to try to keep the feet flexed, but then I want you to try to take the heels out to opposite sides as you pull the knees in toward the chest. You'll breathe there. So where you should feel this is the outer edge of your right hip. If you're not really feeling anything, you likely need to push the right hip forward in space, so think about pushing it forward to the top edge of your mat. Good, and now start to internally rotate the thigh bones together so the feet actually start to pull in toward one another. You may even be able to eagle bind through the legs and then start to pull the knees in again. So just feet together, knees in. And where I tend to feel this is actually the outer edge of my left hip a little bit more. 3 more breaths here. 2. All right, and then allow the thigh bones to externally rotate a little bit again. You're gonna get some momentum going and you're gonna come up to a seat. And we're gonna work toward cow face pose. If that is just not happening, extend the left leg out in front of you. Work just the right leg. You can choose to fold forward, you'll target the hamstring, or you can stay a little more upright and start to work just the right hip coming toward the floor. If you're double bound, then if you're still not feeling anything with the right hip on the floor, you need to take your heels wider. And then you might even need to start to fold forward. As I start to fold forward, I can feel myself lifting up off this right sit bone. So I'll take my left hand out in the opposite direction of it and then start to use that to root the right sit bone back down. Breathe here for another 3 breaths. Ooh-wee. For 2. Olé. All right, slowly start to make your way back up. Unwind your legs. Roll back down. Your call here, friends. You can either move back up into bridge. You might want to try an ankle bind this time instead. So you start to walk the shoulders in, grab right onto your ankles, press through your feet, and feel your tush start to lift the spine. If you would like a wheel, please by all means go for it. 3 breaths. 2. All right, and then you slowly make your way back down onto your back. With the ankle bind, you might feel you want to like shimmy back again and just let everything settle for a moment. And then start to pull the knees back in toward the chest. The legs will go up. The left leg will cross over top of the right leg this time. Now remember, as both knees bend, the feet move away from one another. You just sort of grab on wherever you can reach. And then see where you can continue sending the heels away from one another as you pull your thigh bones in toward your chest. Relax your shoulders. Relax your jaw. Breathe for another 3. It's 2. All right, and then you start to internally rotate the thigh bones. So feel the 2 thigh bones start to turn in toward one another. You may, this left hip doesn't like to do it. You might be able to find a bit of an eagle bind there. I'm gonna attempt it today because I need the work. And then you start to pull the knees back in. And again, I feel this shift over into more of my right hip. The internal rotation on my right hip right now is super intense. All right, and then you let go. You allow the feet to start to come apart again. You rock up to a seat. You double bind, or you take, it's the right leg, this time out in front. The first, let's call it like checkpoint in this pose, is actually getting this to come down onto the floor. If that's not on the floor, you don't need to lean forward yet. You don't have the space to put the seat bone down, so why do you need the space to move forward, right? So I think if we think about it maybe more in that logical sense, there's less judgment, of course. That is logical. I do not have the space within the outer hip to press this hip down yet. Therefore, I do not have the space to start to move forward in an effective manner. Okay? That's all it is. But if you keep working here, you find the space. You find the space. Again, as I start to fold forward, because you're starting to work more space into this side, the left hip might come up. So press it down, and if that's not working, press into your right hand at like the right corner of your mat and try to root that back down. See how that changes the sensation. 3 breaths. 2 breaths. And then you're slowly starting to come back up. Good, and you'll just roll back down onto the back. Good, knees are pressing in toward the chest. Rock it out side to side. Take the feet up toward the sky. You can take the arms up as well as if you like. If shoulder stand is more your jam, start to bend into the knees. And then I like to straighten my legs as I start to lift my tail because I find the weight of my legs moving back in space helps. And then I'll start to take the elbows down, bend the knees back in so I can lift the spine. Then you grab, try for like mid-back, not butt. And then you pull the navel in toward the spine as you start to lift. Wherever you are, breathe for 5. For 4. Eventually this will turn unsupported. Start to fix your pants in it. 3. 2. If you want that plow and have the space for it, you can take it. If you don't, you could take a snail. 3 breaths. 2. And then slowly start to roll out. Pull the knees in toward the chest and just gently rock it out a little side to side. Good. And then you'll reach through the inner edges of your legs for the outer edges of your feet. Slowly just start to take that happy baby and rock a little side to side. You had quite a lot of work through the inner thighs today, so maybe an extension of one leg and the other feels good. Try to keep the sacrum rooted and the tailbone heavy. And then pull back in. Pull the knees in toward the chest, take the arms out. Actually, you know what? I mentioned it earlier. I feel like we should move into a fish. So take your legs all the way down your mat. Roll over to the left side. Sit on top of your right hand. Palm down. Roll over to the right side. Sit on top of your left hand. Palm down. Now, sit on your hands and lift your chest. Pull your elbows in behind you. You can stay right here, lifting the back of the heart space. I find this to be, like, if you're any sort of neck sensitive, I would stay here, chin tucked, or you can drop it. If you're less neck sensitive, you can start to walk the seat bones back, put the head onto the floor, press into the hands, keep trying to lift the chest, and then eventually the legs will lift. Eventually the arms will lift as well, but we can stay here for now. If chest opening is what you need, though, don't lift the legs. Just work on opening the chest. Tuck the chin, come back down. And then the knees pull in. And then we'll go where I was going to go. Take a breath in. Take your twist to the right. Breathe into that space. Then inhale back through center. And exhale. Opposite direction. Looking out over the right elbow. Right. That's 2. Good. And slowly come back up through center. Take your forehead up towards your knees, curl into a tiny little ball. Take a really deep breath in. And then as you exhale, find that Shavasana, whatever that shape means for you, whichever shape allows you to connect to the experience that you're currently in a way that doesn't cause you to attach. So if you're staying in something because all you can feel is this discomfort somewhere, see where you can either move your body or move on. Same with when you're in postures. If you're feeling something that doesn't feel right, either move your body or move on. As we start to experience this practice within our bodies, as we start to use this practice with our bodies, we start to use this practice, when we need to make a decision, or when we find ourselves somewhere we don't like. Change it or let it go. I think it's through these practices that we connect more and more to that true inner self, that sense of connectedness with yourself as well as with all other things. And that's how we start to grow spirituality in whatever sense or form that has for you. Spirituality doesn't have to be religious, but I do think that it can add to the act of mindfulness, can add to all spirituality. And then when you're ready, start to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, and rock the head a little from shoulder to shoulder. Start to rotate your wrists and then your ankles. Take a big long stretch, deep breath in, and then a big sigh. And you'll slowly start to sit up. You'll just take your hands together in front of your heart. Just bow the forehead lightly toward the fingertips. Give yourself a moment of silent gratitude for stepping onto your mat, for stepping into your body and attempting to connect with yourself. Starting to pave that pathway. We'll take a final deep breath together. Inhale. And then exhale all the way. Namaste, my friends. Enjoy the rest of the Sunday. I'm going to go out there. It faces west, so I'm going to catch a muddy sunset. Yeah. Hope that landed. My hair looks great. If you guys have any questions, please just message me over Instagram. It's the easiest way to do it. And yeah, I'll be back in the city Tuesday, back on the regular schedule.